Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Rays Rewind with Bell, Bushman, and Drew.
Jansen. That is into center field. Here comes Kiermaier. Phillips has tied the game. Arose Arena coming around. Throw home. Now he stumbles. But the ball gets away. Tampa Bay wins it. Brett Phillips, Game 4 hero.
The sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Media Network. Make sure to go to our YouTube page, which we are on right now, and like and subscribe our stuff. I know it's been a while since we have seen everybody, but there really hasn't been much going on until yesterday when the Tampa Bay Rays new era of ownership happened yesterday, where new owners, Ken Babby, Patrick Suplinski, and Bill Cosgrove made their debut yesterday in a press conference, which was kind of short and sweet. I guess it was maybe, 20 minutes or so that they did some opening statements. Bill Cosgrove's cell phone went off, which was kind of funny to break the ice a little bit. Kind of made them seem a little bit more human and everyday people to like you and me. Kind of went over what their opening statements are, then took a few questions. Mostly that was centered around the stadium, and things were a little vague, so to speak, and what we were trying to get answers for about, the future, the ideas, what they had, what plans they had in place. Mostly it was centered on the stadium, which Suplinski and co really said, and I think this is a really ambitious thing to say. They want to have one done by 2029 to have a 100-acre site for not only a stadium, but for entertainment purposes, a la like the Battery in Atlanta, which I know they touched on a couple of times, where they said that is the gold standard now. For baseball stadium sites, which is the Battery, which I think is a good idea. I think the Battery is a great location to where they've got shops and things to do there. And then you have a stadium, which they did reiterate that it will be a closed stadium. So no retractable roof. It'll be a dome yet again, which I think is also a great idea too, as well. But I think a lot of questions were still unanswered when it comes to stadium sites, which, a few people asked about, which either A, they do have something in mind, or B, they have just started their search. But I think it's kind of the latter, where I think they've got a few sites in mind, which the HCC campus off of Dale Mabry is a prime location, which is 100 acres, which they are looking for. And then also, too, I know one question was asked about payroll and what they're going to do with that. And the answer that we got was, in Neander and cash we trust. We're not going to touch the baseball side of things, which is okay. So are you guys going to increase payroll, keep it the same? What are we doing here? And I think a lot of those questions that are kind of left up in the air, I think we'll probably get more answered as the season ends and the season begins for next year for 2026. But as of right now, we're in a new era of Rays baseball with new owners, and they're very vague. So, Drew, what's your reaction yesterday, man? I mean, for me, there was a lot of questions that were left unanswered, to be honest with you.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
I want to acknowledge the break we took. I'll be honest. I am so invested in the season, and I hold out hope so long about this team making the playoffs that when it's done, and there's no chance and they're out, I like mentally just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to it wasn't that I checked out, because I still watched the games, or I wanted to watch juniors at bats pretty much, and see if he could beat the team record. But I just mentally couldn't bring myself to talk for 30 to 40 minutes about this team.
I'm there with you
because I was just like,
I was there with you once that, I think that series with the Yankees happened, where they were just pretty much done, and then football is in full swing. I'm kind of like, there isn't really much to talk about except for how not well. They're playing. Junior's pretty much like the highlight of everything, where he was crushing home runs. He was just close from tying Carlos Pena's record. But other than that, it was like, we don't really have much to talk about.
Yeah.
Until now.
The Chicago road trip for me, I was like,
Was it for you?
they lost like 4 in a row, right? I think to the
Yeah.
White Sox and Cubs. So anyway, it was nice to it was like, all right, do we want to talk at the end of the season? And then we were going to, and then schedules didn't work out. And then, with this press conference, it kind of offered us a nice little opportunity to get back to the discussion. So the owners yesterday, it was great to see. I was really looking forward to it. I think the big assessment I have is that it's really the same exact message we've been hearing.
Yep.
Nothing has changed in what's being said. It's all about who's saying it. So the fact that would I have liked them to be a little more specific about things? Yes. I don't blame them. Like, I don't think it's that they're hiding necessarily. It's just that they don't have a lot of the answers at the moment. And it's probably not beneficial to throw out, oh yeah, we have these 4 sites that we took initially, because there's just no reason to
see. And that's where I think a lot of Rays fans were frustrated yesterday, was they didn't get a lot of those questions answered, which a lot of them were like, okay, what's the plan for this? Look, there's a lot of things that they can't say unless something is finalized, and they just finalized it last Tuesday. So look, I'm sure they have plans in place, but they're not going to roll them out just yet. And I think there was a lot of frustration with Rays fans yesterday we've been hearing the same stuff for forever. And it's just, when are we getting a stadium? When are we doing this? Like, guys, Rays fans, especially the ones on Twitter, y'all need to relax, man. Like, for real, you guys need to just pump the brakes about being frustrated already with this new ownership group that's coming in. You guys wanted to change. You guys are screaming for Stu to get out. Let them take their time, man. I'm sure these guys are smart enough to know what they're going to be doing, what their plans are in place of, especially when it comes to the stadium. And that was, to me, the stadium was top priority 1 over everything else, like stadiums, locking in a stadium site, locking a proper stadium site, doing it correctly. That was priority 1. And I get that. I think a lot of other people were trying to ask, if you're going to fund this, if you're going to attract new people to the stadium, and if you're going to attract people back to the Trop, how are you going to do that? Are you going to go out and get maybe a couple of splashy free agent signings in the offseason? And that was a lot of questions that were being asked about. That was, is payroll going to be increased? They didn't really talk about that. They just kind of danced around that and were vague. So
yeah, I forget who it was with the 3, but one of them, I think it was Patrick Zalewski. He said, the economics of the team haven't changed. So
right.
I don't anticipate there being.
I didn't like that answer.
And also,
because if it hasn't changed, then they're still going to be a small market team, and they're not going to go out and spend on free agency.
I don't think anything's. I would imagine there'll be. I think my only hope is that they have the ability to retain more of their players, and long term. I don't think that the Rays are going to go out and sign a big free agent this offseason just because there's new ownership. First of all, I don't think any of the big free agents, outside of unless you wanted to drop a lot of money on a starting pitcher, because anybody can use a pitcher, but that's not what the Rays typically do, and I don't think they need to. But
if they were going to go out and make a big splash, the one they could truly go after.
Don't say it.
I got to,
don't say
because
it.
He's the only one I can think of. But the thing is, they will probably do this. Yes, I'm mentioning Kyle Tucker.
I thought you were going to say Pete Alonso.
No, why would no? I'm come on.
I see that. I see that floating around, and I'm like, first of all,
I'm not one of those people. It won't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
What are you going to do? Where are you going to put him? First base? Okay, great. So where do you put Yandy? Where do you put Jonathan?
Right. No, trust me. I was
yeah.
off.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
When people were saying Pete Alonso, I'm like, no. Why?
No.
Why? No.
Also, I don't really want Pete Alonso.
I don't want him either. We have Yandy and we have Aranda. We're good. We're good to go. So
anyway.
Going back to that, if they were going to make any kind of free agent signing, you could go and try and pursue Kyle Tucker, and that's pretty much it. And then go to your priority players to extend Junior, extend Raz, like extend the guys that need to be extended to take care of that first. And then if you want to make a splash signing going into the 2026, which, I mean, they do need outfield help, you can go and see if you can get Kyle Tucker, who's going to be a free agent. So, but I think what a lot of people were kind of frustrated was, well, if things are going to be staying the same, then we're just doing the same thing over and over. So I think that there was a lot of frustration there, especially on social media and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reality is there's so many things in the environment right now, like in the context of where the Rays are at, where they do not need to get their hopes up about signing a big time free agent to a long-term deal like a Kyle Tucker. One, he doesn't want to play in the Trop, which he would play in for the next 3 seasons minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two, he's going to be getting anywhere from like 4 to 500 million, something like that. So if you do that, there's no way you're going to sign him and keep your long-term guys, at least in the immediate future.
Right.
And by the time you'd be able to maybe sign a guy like Junior long-term, that's another 400 or 500 million probably. So like, and I don't like Kyle Tucker will get more money elsewhere, and he doesn't want to play in the Trop. And the only way you're getting him is if he's like just really wants to play in Tampa Bay because he's from
like for him to sign, he would have to put in a clause in his contract. You are going to be putting regular grass in this turf.
Yeah,
play with you guys,
and they won't be able to because
no, they won't.
So anyway, so everything they said yesterday, I wasn't surprised by. I'm not disheartened by. I mean, sure, it would have been great for them to say, yeah, we're good to increase payroll by 60 to 70 million. I don't know, like, or even 20 to 30 million. Like, I don't like, we want to be middle of the league in payroll. Like, that would have been great, of course, but I'm not shocked that they're not. I mean, I think the reality is they're not going to be able to do much with payroll significantly until they get the stadium and they're getting revenue from all the things around there. So, that's fine. I think that, as far as my impressions of them, I think I really like I think it's Ken Babby.
I was just about to
I really like him. I mean, and I think there's been nothing but good things being said about how he's run those other minor league teams and fan experience stuff.
I love the fact. I think he was the one that really mentioned it the most was the fans, like the fan experience. Hey, we want fan. Like that was, to me, that was the biggest thing that I liked about them was they kept mentioning the fans because, with such a bad taste that the fan bases had in them and their mouths was Stu, like having an ownership group come in and say, hey, the fans is like pretty much, besides the stadium be top priority, like the fans are our top priority too. So making things, more accommodating to them and making the fan base come back to the Trop and whatnot. So I love the fact that they kept bringing up the fans, which is a good thing because that's what's driving your revenue streams is the fans. So I'm interested in seeing what kind of changes they're going to make for 2026 when it comes to coming back to the Trop. Are they going to put an institute like free parking? Are they going to do lower prices on food, lower prices on tickets? Like I'm interested in seeing that because if you're now a new ownership group, you're going to be back in the Trop now for 2026 for the next 3.5 years ish. If you're trying to get a new stadium in, maybe 2.5. You want the fans to come in. So if you're going to accommodate these fans and the fan base, you've got to make a little bit of changes and, lowering the parking, lowering the food, lowering the tickets. I think that's something maybe they should start off with, but we'll see. I know they mentioned like they'll have more things to come, once the season ends or once they get closer to the season. So I'm excited. I have a little optimism too, because of, ownership groups, and they care about one thing is, money in their pockets for their investment. But, if these guys are the real deal and they want to bring a championship to Tampa and to Tampa Bay, hopefully these are the guys that can do it. What I also like too, as well, is, the fact that that they do have a plan in place, but I want Rays fans to understand this though. It's going to take time. It's not going to be right away. You guys got to be patient. Yeah, I know we've been through a lot with Stu and his shenanigans about, the sister city plan, this, moving, trying to get a site here in Ybor, trying to get a site here, and all those things have fallen through. You guys have got to give these guys a little bit of time. and be patient because it's not going to happen right away. I know they said they want a stadium locked in 2029. It's ambitious. You're going to have to put in the shovels in the ground probably in the Q1 of next year to get things started on that, because it's going to take time to build that thing. But as Rays fans, you got to relax. You got to just chill out, let them do their thing, and then, enjoy baseball back at the Trop, which I think everybody's excited to be back at the Trop for next year because, it's going to be inside. There's, it's the Trop. It's the home away from home that I think everybody missed this year, but being at the Big Stein. So, Rays fans, my message to you is relax, chill out.
Yeah, I was impressed with Ken. He comes across as a nice guy.
Yeah.
Somebody that I think it seems like I'll be proud of being the guy that's, the CEO, I believe is what they refer to him as, running the day-to-day operations. So that's exciting. He was the one, I believe, that mentioned how they're fully aware of the fatigue.
Yep.
That old
That was a good line.
I thought showed a lot of awareness on their part, which is just like, to be like, for me, like that's a lot of what I want to see is like, do you see what Rays fans have been going through? Like, do you understand what they're going through and
the
see
frustrations,
the frustration and the urgency in getting this done? And I think they do. Again, the message of what they're saying is all the same things.
Yeah.
But you're just putting some hope in the fact that it's a different messenger delivering it, and that it's going to mean, a different outcome. If Stu Sternberg got up there and said all of the same things, no one would
listen.
No one would listen. No one would either believe him or believe that it's moving the needle at all, or it means actual.
You would have
things are gonna
fans
happen.
with pitchforks outside
Right.
of the Big Stein after that press conference and slinging mud and eggs at him.
Yeah. So I'm grateful that they were intentional about, being hands off on the baseball side. I know some fans don't like Eric Neander or don't like Kevin Cash, and Kevin, obviously, like, in-game stuff can be debated, but I think most people would be very happy with them staying a long time. And so to know that they're not going to be hands-on with them and they're going to let them do their jobs is really encouraging. I will say the other thing that I thought was interesting is that, Zalewski was talking about the closed dome. And basically how he described the stadium is exactly what the Rays had in St. Pete agreed to, closed dome. I think that you build it in a way, right, where it's not like that means there's going to be concrete walls all around like the Trop, but that you build it to where, kind of like how the Rays had in their design of, it's closed, it's a fixed roof, but it's open air, like almost on the perimeter a little bit. Like you can open it up and have like a way to make it feel like you have light coming in, like you have, it's not this concrete,
kind of like that one, kind of like
exactly like what you've seen. Literally the designs that we've seen. Like the fixed roof thing doesn't bother me. I also, the one thing I thought was interesting is that Zalewski said that in the owners that they talked to, I think he said most said that one of their regrets, their biggest regret, is not doing a fixed roof and doing a retractable roof. And it makes a lot of sense, because I get that means if we have a retractable roof, we could open it up, outdoor baseball, it's how it's meant to be played. But you would not have that roof open maybe once. It would be like once, no more than 3 times a year, a season, would you have that roof open. I mean, you would maybe get a couple games at the beginning of the season, and then that would probably be it.
You would be able to do it like
end, or like in October.
You would be able to do like the first opening weekend of the season.
And that's if the weather cooperated.
Yeah, because when I went to Steinbrenner Field for the opening series, it was nice outside. It was super nice, and then it just got boiling hot after that.
It wasn't long after it got real hot. So, in theory, it'd be great to have a retractable roof and outdoor baseball, because part of the issue with the Trop that people, Rays fans get flack for being, the team gets flack for, is that it's a dome stadium. That's just not baseball. Well, if a retractable roof is closed, it's the same concept. So it's cheaper to do a fixed dome. And I mean, you think about it, like if you're not going to open it up, adding all of that extra cost onto a stadium for something that really you're not going to use all that often.
You're just burning cash flow.
Yeah, like what's the point? Like if you can build it in a way, like I said, where it's the roof is always going to be closed, but it's open, in other areas, and kind of it doesn't feel like you're just enclosed like in a building like the Trop.
Yeah.
Then I have no problem with it. And I mean, look at the Marlins. I mean, I would be curious. I'm going to Google it right now. How many times the Marlins open their stadium?
Probably never. I think they have the stadium design picked. They just need to get the site locked in. Because if they're going to take elements from the designs that they got, including this one that's in my background, they probably have the design already picked out. They just need to pick the site, and then they'll be good to go. Because they've had so many mock-ups and so many drafts of what it could look like. I'm sure they've taken all those elements. Like that one that I think that was for the St. Pete design, for the the one they had that was abandoned before the hurricane. I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing, but they're going to do it in a bigger site. That's because it had that open airness to it. It had that feel of, hey, we can do different events throughout the year, have shops, have all that stuff, kind of a la the Battery. That's probably what they decided on. They just need to pick a site, that 100-acre site that they are looking to get, which right now, let's see, per the report, it's they've got that HCC site, which is 100-acre plus, and then they've got two sites. They've got the Rocky Point Golf Course area, and then the old Tampa Greyhound track too.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got a few sites that they just need to pick on. They just need to pick on one. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I found a article on Fox Weather from like a year or two ago. So Seattle opens the roof the most, which makes a lot of sense, obviously.
Makes, huge sense.
Texas played just 11 of their 81 home games with the roof open in 2021, and they had 16 games in 2022. Houston had only 7 of their 81 home games played with an open roof in last season. That might be 2022. I'm not quite sure when this was written. So, I mean, Arizona has a decent amount. Marlins, they played under an open roof just 5 times in the past 2 seasons. That was 2021 and 2022 is when this was written. So 5 times.
Not many.
So you're looking for 5 games, 5 game to add, however many hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, probably millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. I don't know why I said thousand. Millions and millions of dollars onto a stadium deal for an open roof for, maybe 2 to 3 times a year. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. If I was a business guy and an owner, I'd be like, shoot, we'll just do other things to make it feel.
The only other times you could do it too, Drew, would probably be during playoff time. But like,
and maybe
that's it.
Maybe. And I don't know if people are upset about the closed roof thing. Again, I think it's just the stigma of having a closed roof with the Trop and all that.
Yeah, but I think Rays fans found out that being in an open air stadium,
it probably was the best thing to happen. Not really, but you know what I mean. Like, to have that experience and be like, all right,
this kind of sucks.
We can't do this. And I mean, I didn't go to any games at Steinbrenner this year. I went really able to go to opening day if I was going to go to one, and it was just so
went
expensive.
to the one when it was like nice outside, and then that was pretty much the only one I went to. Other than that,
I could tell. I was like, man, I would much rather be at the Trop. So yeah, I think walking away, like, yeah, it would have been great to have more answers. I'm not surprised they didn't have any answers really. I appreciate them willing to put a timeline on opening day 2029 for the stadium, and basically giving themselves no wiggle room to get a stadium deal done.
I just hope they can fulfill that 2029. Now, I know they didn't put anything concrete saying, hey, this is the date. Like saying 20, it's super ambitious. And you're now really up on a huge timeline now, because we're rolling into 2026. You got to get your site pinned down, ready to go, and then you really have to start putting, shovels in the dirt next year to get that thing done by 2029.
Yeah.
Realistically, because now you have to factor in like weather delays, you got to factor in all that stuff. Plus, you got to get all the money approved. Like, it's super ballsy. I mean, it's great to say in an intro like press conference saying, "Hey, by 2029, we're going to be in a shiny new facility." But man, that timeline is you're really cutting it close to get that done and then get that just finalized and everything. Because realistically, you only really have, if you start in 2026, you ultimately only have like 2.5 years to get that done. Because if you're looking to get in opening day 2029, you have 2.5 years to get that done, stadium be built, all completed, going past code, like all that stuff to be done by probably year end of 2028 or be done by January 2029 to be open on April, whatever, 2029. It's super ballsy. I hope they get it done, but I just hope it's not one of these things where, hey, we're 2029, we're going to have a new stadium. And then when it rolls around like for 2027 or 2026 or next year saying, okay, well, maybe our timeline is off, maybe 2020, 2030 or 2031, because, hey, we still haven't secured funding. We still haven't secured a site for this, because now you're pushing it out even further. But now you're starting to not keep promises that you were originally going to say, like, hey, 2029 is it. Okay, well, now it's 2030 now. Oh, now it's 2031. That's my only thing is, it's a super ballsy thing to get everybody on your side, but are you going to be able to do that? That's a hurdle they have to do. That's something you have to get done. Priority one is that.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, it is super aggressive. I will say,
super ballsy, at least, man.
You know, if they're able to find a site, I feel like that HCC site keeps popping up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it kind of is popping up not out of nowhere, but like before, it really wasn't discussed as an option. It was always Ybor or Fairgrounds or like random other places.
Yeah, because Rocky Point came up like over the summer. And then, like, I remember HCC site was mentioned like a couple of times, but then it's kind of gaining traction a little bit because especially when they said, hey, we want 100-acre site. Well, that HCC site is 100 acres. So is now the steam picking up on that site? It probably, if it keeps getting mentioned, then that's probably what they are probably trying to finalize is that site, because to me, if you're looking at a 100-acre site, that's your perfect spot. And it's off of Dale Mabry. You're right across the street from Raymond James Stadium. You're not too far away from Sparkman's Wharf. So if you're trying to have that triangular effect to where all your sports teams are in one central hub, that's your perfect spot. Unless you put it out in the fairgrounds. But to me, if you're trying to keep it central into Tampa, where you're going to have the most traffic, that HCC site is perfect. That's your number one on your priority list. That's
I think HCC or Ybor.
Yeah.
Would for me be the two. I think I like the idea of the Rays Stadium being right next to the football stadium. Obviously, that's not a new concept, and it obviously works having everything right there. A couple of questions I would have, and I haven't seen answers to this in like the Times or anything, but does HCC not use that site? Like, I don't understand. Like, where would they go? Like, can they take over a college and?
I mean, if the money's right
down, I guess. Like, I don't know. That's just
there. I think ACC has another location. I think a few exits south, like off, because I know there's one off the interstate which you can see, which is kind of near MLK. So, I mean, if that's one of their central locations too, I mean, like, plus I said before, if the money's right, you know, you can say, here you go, and then move yourself along to another site for HCC. So,
well, and then my other question would be like, what is
how much is the public going to fund?
Well, no. Hey, those aren't my tax dollars.
Yeah, I know. Neither am I.
Yeah, I don't. You know, I mean, I realize that's an important discussion point. I just, you know, as somebody who's not in the area anymore, it's hard. You know, I don't get too hung up on that when I'm thinking about it. But no, my other question would be, if the Rays move to Tampa, let's say the HCC site ends up being where they go.
Yeah,
that would be great. Also, it'd be so nice to have the new stadium being built and not impacting game days at the Trop, because the idea of them rebuilding or building that stadium on the Trop site with the previous plan, I always thought like it would have been a nightmare. It would have been awful.
Yeah.
But But anyway, so if the Rays moved to Tampa proper, would the Yankees have to move their spring training and like in their minor league team? Like, could they wouldn't be
Yeah.
like that would make no sense to me for the Yankees to stay in Tampa as their spring
Because you're
training
right.
home.
You're right. You're pretty much right on top of the Big Stein. I mean, you're right on top of it. Yeah,
Like
it's a good
how could that work? Like I understand it wouldn't be necessarily like right away, but the only issue I would see is that it's the Yankees and Major League Baseball wouldn't be like, sorry guys, you guys got to get out.
I think I
Um,
don't know how long, 'cause didn't the Yankees sign an extension on that site for a few more years?
And I mean, I don't particularly care if they do stay, but
I
it's
don't
just
care.
like,
Like if
but
it knocks the
just
Yankees
something I
out of
thought
that
about,
area,
like
I'm fine with that. That if it knocks them away, I'm cool
it
with
would
it.
probably be something along the lines of like over time they would have to relocate, and they could
Well,
just go to St. Pete or something.
well,
But
also too, I think for what the Rays and what Manfred and also MLB is saying is like this is priority one for this team. Like if
right,
they pick a site, that's like it's the minor leagues. I mean, the minor leagues could be moved to wherever, and the
well, and
Yankees
I'm
have.
thinking more spring training.
Oh well,
I mean, I don't think the Tampa Tarpons or whatever they're called are it's I don't care about them. I mean,
I
they're
don't think it would. I
but
don't
like
think it would affect spring training for the Yankees at the Big Stein at all. I don't think it
you
would.
don't think so?
No, I don't think it would. Maybe down the line
I mean,
it
they
would, but
quite literally have that would be the Rays would be the only team that face that issue, right? There's no other. I
well,
mean,
and they also
Arizona Diamondbacks, I don't think
I-
are there teams in Phoenix that spring training? I don't think so. I think they do it like, in the
also
outer
too
cities.
the question would be, would the Rays move their spring training site to somewhere else that's somewhere more north instead of all the way down to Port Charlotte? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those are just questions. Obviously, those are like,
That's down the road.
those are not important questions. Those are definitely, things we would only worry about if we had an actual stadium deal.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad it's finally done. I mean, for so long we've waited for an ownership change. Regardless, I know that we've already reached the point I've seen on some message boards where people are, pessimistic about anything changing and, the devil versus the devil you don't, and already throwing, just crushing the optimism. And we've already reached that point of being so excited with the ownership change to these people probably aren't going to do anything. And this guy is not really that, he's kind of a jerk. And, it's like,
Well, to them, I say
why are we already getting being so pessimistic?
because there's just dumb people, especially the ones that are on
Listen,
social media. They're
if
just
they
dumb.
and I realize if they were quick to be like, listen, everything with the baseball side we're not touching. So if things happen on the baseball side, can we blame them? Can we not blame them? Can we give them credit? Can we not give them credit? If the team goes out and signs Junior Caminero to a long-term deal this offseason, Jonathan Aranda, even if they just sign Jonathan Aranda, I don't care. Like if they sign Caminero and Aranda and then make like even that alone, I would say, all right, we're good to go. These guys, I'm feeling good. I mean, that would be such a huge pick me up and a huge, I think, boost in my trust in them as an ownership group.
Mhm.
That at least we're going to be moving forward, and not backward or staying the same. So that's all I'm asking for out of this group. And I realize the baseball decisions are like it's Eric and Kevin, but they still sign the checks at the end of the day.
Right.
And that's all I want is
I'm surprised. Like
long-term deals.
I'm sure maybe that conversation has probably happened where they met with Eric and going, okay. I know they say, look, things are going to stay the same, but I'm sure Neander has to have said,
Well,
I need more money.
and even
You know what I mean? That
yeah,
conversation
I'm
has to
sure.
have come up. Like I'm sure, like I'm sure because they kept saying we want a championship caliber team
Consistently.
and I'm sure Neander's like, if you want a consistently championship caliber team,
Give me $20 million.
I'm sure he's got you have to give me more money to go out and spend. You have to get our payroll to at least 100 million and above to for me to go and field out those types of players.
What's so funny
He has
too?
to have had that conversation because consistently for the past couple of years, we haven't been a consistent anything. It has been consistently losing. We consistently missed the playoffs. So,
well, and you look back and we talk about the Rays spending more money, and it's the funny thing is that it's like moving forward again. We talk and we mentioned this, like it doesn't have to be all this money to go get these big time free agents,
just get good
but
players.
but like you think about like the 2020 season and 2021. Right. So the Rays were as close as they've ever been to winning a World Series those 2 years. Right. I know they didn't get as far in the playoffs in 21, but the team itself was the best team in the American League. And I mean, I cannot believe they lost the Red Sox. There's a discussion for another day. Like, I was convinced they were winning the World Series when I saw Jordan Luplow hit a grand slam off Chris Sale.
Oh, when
two.
Randy Arozarena stole home, I was like,
Oh,
that's a wrap. We're good.
Well, I'm telling you, man, when I was in left field for that game 2 and
So was
game
I.
1,
I was there.
and game 1. Oh yeah,
I was there. Yeah.
and I was with my father-in-law for game 2, and I saw Jordan Luplow hit that grand slam, and I literally said, "Oh my gosh, I think we're going to win the World Series."
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it was happening. Anyway, but you think about where those teams what they needed. Like, they chose in 2020 not to bring back Travis d'Arnaud, right? They let him go to the Braves for, I want to say it was
nothing.
like 20 million over a couple years. Like, and not Mike Zunino ended up having a great 21 season, and not that he was a bad catcher. He had some big hits in the playoffs in 2020, but like, it would have been great to have Travis d'Arnaud in 2020 and 2021, and even 2022, like when Zunino fell off and Bethancourt and Mejia were like the fill-ins. Like, d'Arnaud's been fine. Like, he was the best catcher we had in that 2019
and he's
season
still
in a
been
long
a
time.
consistently
And
good catcher with
he's
other
still
teams.
playing. And we chose not to sign him because we didn't want to spend the money. And I don't remember what we signed Zunino for, but like, we're talking a little, like, handful of million, like not that much money, right? And then in 21, what was it? It was the pitching staff, right? Glasnow went down with an injury, which it happens. Like, you can't do anything about that. But like, we stroll into the playoffs with good pitching, but it's all unproven guys, right? It's McClanahan, Rasmussen, and Boz, and they all three. McClanahan pitched great game 1, but then blew up in that game 4.
Yep.
And then Ras didn't do much. I don't remember his stat line, but like, he didn't blow us away. And then Boz kind of threw the game away in game 2. So, who could we have used in that series? Charlie Morton, right? And Charlie Morton was just this steady presence in 2020 and 2019, and loved playing for the Rays, was awesome for the Rays, and they didn't want to sign him. And he signed for I think he signed for like 15 million over 1 or 2 years.
It was one more million that I think the Rays initially offered him 14, and the Braves came in and offered him 15.
Yeah, and like, so it's that kind of stuff, right? It's like, okay, we're talking about guys, role players, maybe a step above that if we're just talking, hey, give us 10, 15 million more dollars to spend for this season and next or whatever, like, that could be the biggest difference between, okay, we're a 500 team or we're a playoff team. It doesn't have to be a Kyle Tucker. It doesn't have to be a Pete Alonso. It can be these mid-level guys.
Yeah, you can get a few
mid-level guys. Just need a little bit more flexibility. Yep. And and the previous regime too, like, they were signing guys long-term. I mean, Longoria obviously was, and I know that whole thing about, well, they wouldn't stay. I get it, but like, they're still signing them. So you had guys like Kevin Kiermaier, Brandon Lau, who's still, he's going to be the one to see the end of his contract essentially. Wander, they signed, like, so for them to go out and sign a guy like Junior Caminero and Jonathan Aranda, very much in the realm of possibility, and something that I think is a bigger priority than going and getting any sort of free agents. So all I'm asking is just a long-term deal or two, a little bit more money for some free agents to fill some gaps, maybe at the back end of the rotation, or mid-level rotation guy.
Well, you need catcher, you need back end rotation, you need an outfield.
They need to go well, and they need to go get a trade. They need to trade for a catcher, and they need to trade for a center fielder. Yeah. That's my thing. I've got 2 guys in mind in those positions that we can talk about at another time, but I can give you the names. I don't know how likely it is.
JT Realmuto.
No.
Okay.
No, I think he wouldn't. They wouldn't.
No,
is he a free agent? Yeah,
he will.
No, is he? Nah, they'll resign him.
He'll be cost too much anyways.
No, okay. So at catcher, you go trade for a guy like Harry Ford.
Okay.
I realize, you're going to pay a decent price for him because he's, a prospect. Still, all got the shine to him. Like
his name was kind of discussed via the trade deadline.
yeah,
this
and it
year.
makes a
So,
lot of
I
sense.
like that. It makes a sense.
Either like a Harry Ford or a Dalton Rushing or something like that, where you'll get a high end prospect that's major league ready.
Yep.
That just needs the opportunity, and you ride with him. Like that's what you got. If whatever you got a trade to do that, let's do it.
Who's your other one?
Oh, center field.
Yeah.
Ceddanne Rafaela. He's literally, I understand it's probably not going to happen. It's in division, and it would require like a Yandy Diaz or something. And I get so, or
yeah, but see, Drew. Well, we're gonna open up a can of worms here before we get on out of here.
Yeah.
See, I'm okay with that. If it requires a Yandy Diaz who's on the other side of 30, I mean, he maybe has a few years left, but if you're getting Rafaela for 5 to 10 more,
dude.
like
to
me, that's worth it. But I know it'll never happen. It's in division.
We gotta go get him. We would need to go get him now. And I don't think it's happening, but like that the Red Sox would even want to get rid of him because he is controlled.
Right.
But and he's so young and he's ascending, but they have such a
they have a
surplus
core
of outfielders.
Yeah.
I think the likely scenario is they probably end up they end up trying to trade a guy like Duran. I think he's probably the one that's got the least amount of runway there, and they probably think that he's probably the most expendable. I would think based on what I've seen from the team. But man, Rafaela would feel such a huge need for this team to have a Gold Glove center field. He's literally a Gold Glove caliber player at any position. I know he plays second some, and he played short last year too. But like he's Gold Glove in center field. He's fast. He's hitting for more power, and he's cost controlled. I mean, he's the most he's ever going to make is 16 million, and that's in 2032, and it's a club option. So he made 1.2 million. He goes to 2.2 million next year. Like, I don't know. Again, and there's a reason why he's attractive because
I like those moves,
and I'm sure the Red Sox feel the very, very similar.
I like those moves because if I was new ownership, instead of going out and getting just the one big splash, you can make a few medium-sized splashes with a couple of like medium good size moves to fill in those holes that you need for next year. I like that better than going out and just throwing a ton of money at one guy. I'd rather have them go out and get a couple of guys that are really good mid-level players and they can fill in those gaps. So I like that. I'd like that better.
And I don't think it's going to happen necessarily, especially with Rafaela, because again, he's 25. He's cost controlled. He was a 4.5 win above replacement player this year. I mean, I'm looking at his stats. He cut his strikeouts down by 35 strikeouts this year, and his walks were up 13. His average went up a little bit at 249, but he hit 16 homers. Like, he's exactly what the Rays would need in center field for an everyday center fielder. That is like my number one wish list guy.
I'll have our new social media guy Jacob put that on social media today. See if it'll happen.
It's the Red Sox. I'm sure it would be a steep price, but his name got floated a little bit in the trade deadline. You know, when they had the outfielder surplus, Yandy Diaz was a huge need for them.
It could happen.
But man, that would be awesome. But yeah, so new ownership group. I'm excited. I mean, why would I be pessimist after 1 week?
Before we wrap up,
no reason to.
Before we wrap up, let's give our season grades. What do you think?
C- or D+.
I'll
say they weren't expected to make the playoffs, so I'll say C-, but still disappointment.
You say C-, I'll just do a solid C.
The bullpen just blew it for them in the month of July. The
injuries, the moves that they made at the trade deadline didn't pan out how they wanted it to, and that just kind of
they were already kind of it was like a really thin needle they were trying to thread there. So
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Make sure to go to our YouTube page at the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind. Hit that like and subscribe. God, I can't talk today. We will be probably, this is kind of the end of our season 2 for the podcast until things pop up here and there. So we'll do some special shows when things start to heat up for next season. I'm sure the winter meetings are coming up in the next couple of months, so I'm sure we'll start to hear some
stadium stuff. We'll be on when things happen.
We'll pop up here and there with some Rays news here and there, but we'll also be active on social media as well. So enjoy the rest of playoff baseball. Hopefully the Jays can close it out. I don't want to see the Yankees move on, so hopefully the Jays will beat the Yankees. But make sure to watch playoff baseball. It's in full swing right now. We've got some good matchups ahead. But we'll see you guys here and there. So have a great rest of the season. And it's peace out from myself and Drew. Peace out, guys.
See you.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind with Bushman and Drew on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.